A lone human ship faced down 1,000 alien vessels. Laser cannons charged and primed to unleash hell. Commander Ethan Webb gripped the armrests of his captain's chair aboard the UEDF Invictus, knuckles white, jaw set. The 35-year-old veteran of the United Earth Defense Force narrowed his eyes at the readings splashed across the command screen. 1,000 Gamelon warships surrounded a crippled human cargo vessel in the remote Zeta Centauri system. Weapons hot. The Invictus, humanity's most advanced stealth frigate, had been deployed to investigate the cargo ship's distress call. Now Ethan was the only thing standing between the helpless crew and annihilation at the hands of the brutal Gamelon warlord Taurus. Scans of the lead alien dreadnought showed the towering reptilian humanoid on the bridge, barking demands for the human vessel's surrender. Stories of Taurus's cruelty were infamous. The crew of the cargo ship would be tortured and executed if captured, but the ship's prototype weapon cargo, if obtained by the Gamelons, would tilt the war against humanity's survival. Ethan's heart hammered, a bead of sweat trickling down his brow. His ship was formidable but alone. Against 1,000 foes led by a monster, the odds were bleak. Yet he had to find a way. For the 50 souls on that cargo ship, for the billions on Earth, for the very future of his species. He leaned forward, the weight of civilization itself bearing down. "Open a channel to the Gamelons. Let's see if we can buy some time." The voice of the Invictus's AI, Athena, chimed in Ethan's ear. "Commander, based on our scans, I've identified a vulnerability in the Gamelon ship's shield frequencies." Ethan's eyes darted across the tactical display, his mind racing. The Gamelon ships were arranged in a standard hexagonal formation, with Taurus's flagship, the GES Imperator, at the center. A plan began to form. "Athena, move us to the edge of their formation. Activate the advanced sensor array and analyze those shield frequencies and their weapon systems." "Yes, Commander." The Invictus glided to the outskirts of the Gamelon fleet, its own shields and stealth systems masking its presence. Data streamed across Ethan's screen. The Gamelon shields operated on a predictable rotating frequency, leaving brief moments of vulnerability, and their new plasma cannons required significant power, weakening their shields when fired. Ethan grinned. He had them. "Athena, adapt our shield frequency to match the Gamelon patterns. Make us invisible to their sensors." "Aye, sir, adapting frequencies now." Ethan watched as the Invictus's shields shifted, the ship vanishing from Gamelon scopes. "Launch a series of stealthed probes, hack into their weapon systems, make those plasma cannons overload and fry their own shields." Probes shot from the Invictus, slipping past Gamelon defenses and infiltrating their systems. Consoles sparked on the alien ship's bridges as their weapons overloaded, the blasts damaging their own shields. Chaos erupted in the Gamelon ranks. Ships broke formation, some firing wildly. Ethan's finger hovered over the quantum torpedo controls. "Targets acquired," Athena reported. "Gamelon shields at 30%. Ethan's face hardened. "Fire!" A barrage of quantum torpedoes burst from the Invictus, slamming into the weakened Gamelon ships. Explosions blossomed as vessel after vessel was torn apart. On the Imperator's bridge, Taurus roared in fury. "All ships concentrate fire on the human's last position." But the Invictus was no longer there. Ethan had already repositioned, the human ship dancing between the disarrayed Gamelon fleet. The comms crackled. "Invictus, this is Captain Marcus Hawkins of the cargo ship Aurora's Bounty. I don't know what you did, but you've got those bastards running scared. What's our next move?" Ethan's eyes gleamed. The odds were still against them, but now they had a chance. "Captain Hawkins, I have a plan to get you and your crew out of here, but we'll have to work together and time this just right." Ethan turned to the comms. "Captain Hawkins, prepare your crew for immediate evacuation. I'm syncing the Invictus systems with yours now." Hawkins' voice crackled over the channel. "Roger that, Invictus. We'll be ready." Ethan's fingers flew across the console, synchronizing the two ships' computers. "Athena, deploy the drone swarm. Engage holographic projectors and tractor beams." Deploying drones now, Commander. A cloud of sleek silver drones burst from the Invictus, speeding toward the Gamilon fleet. Each drone shimmered, projecting holographic duplicates of the Invictus and the Aurora's bounty. The Gamilon ships turned, their weapons locking onto the decoys. Taurus slammed his fist on the arm of his command chair. Split the fleet. Pursue all targets. As the Gamilon ships scattered, chasing the illusory human vessels, Ethan maneuvered the Invictus beneath the Aurora's bounty. Engaging tractor beams. The Invictus shuddered as the beams locked onto the cargo ship's hull. Ethan's brow furrowed in concentration as he guided the two vessels through the chaos, the drones weaving a protective shield around them, absorbing the occasional stray blast. The cargo ship groaned, the strain of the maneuver taking its toll. "Easy, Athena," Ethan murmured. "Adjust the tractor beam strength to compensate for the structural stress." "Adjusting now, Commander." As the ships neared the edge of the battlefield, a roar of rage echoed through the comms. Taurus's face filled the view screen, his eyes burning with fury. "You think you can deceive me, human? All ships, pursue the fleeing vessels. I want them destroyed." The Imperator surged forward, its engines flaring. Taurus turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare the EMP cannon. We'll fry their systems and leave them helpless." Ethan's eyes widened. "Athena, reconfigure our shields to absorb EMP energy now." "Reconfiguring, Commander, but the cargo ship's systems are unprotected." Ethan's heart raced. He had to make a choice. Detach from the Aurora's bounty, position us between them and the EMP blast. "But, Commander, our systems won't withstand the full impact." "Do it!" The Invictus shuddered as it disengaged from the cargo ship, sliding into position just as the Imperator fired. A blinding flash filled the view screen, the EMP slamming into the Invictus shields. The ship's lights flickered, consoles sparking and going dark. "Shields at 5%, Commander. Main power offline. We're dead in the water." Ethan gripped the armrests, his knuckles white. On the view screen, the Imperator loomed, its weapons glowing as it closed in for the kill. Taurus's face filled the screen once more, a predatory grin spreading across his features. "End of the line, Commander." Ethan's hands flew across the console as the Imperator loomed on the view screen, its weapons charging for a killing blow. Sweat beaded on his forehead, his heart pounding. "Rerouting power from life support to engines and weapons," he barked. "Divert all non-essential systems." The Invictus hummed as power surged through its conduits. Status lights flickered from red to green. "Power restored, Commander," Athena reported. "Engines and weapons online." The Imperator fired, a storm of plasma bolts streaking towards the Invictus. Ethan wrenched the controls, sending the ship into a dizzying spin. The bolts sizzled past, missing by mere meters. "Quantum torpedoes locked on target," Athena said, firing. A volley of glowing projectiles erupted from the Invictus, slamming into the Imperator's weakened shields. Explosions blossomed across the Gamilon ship's hull as the torpedoes found their mark. On the Imperator's bridge, Taurus slammed his fist on the armrest, his eyes blazing with rage. "Damage report." "Shields down to 15%, Warlord," a Gamilon officer replied. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Taurus snarled, his teeth bared. "Prepare boarding parties. I want that human alive, and secure the prototype weapon at all costs." Ethan's console pinged with a proximity alert. "Athena, report. Multiple Gamilon transport signatures detected. They're attempting to board the Invictus. Activate internal defenses. Seal off critical areas and deploy security drones." Throughout the Invictus, bulkheads slammed shut as force fields shimmered to life. Automated turrets emerged from recessed compartments, swiveling to target the incoming boarders. Ethan sprinted to the armory, donning his black combat exoskeleton. The suit hummed as it encased his body, enhancing his strength and speed. A heads-up display flickered to life on his visor, feeding him tactical data. The ship shuddered as the Gamilon boarding pods latched onto its hull. Ethan grabbed a pulse rifle and a plasma sword, then raced towards the breach points. He rounded a corner, coming face to face with a squad of Gamelon soldiers. They opened fire, energy bolts sizzling through the air. Ethan leaped into action, his exoskeleton-enhanced reflexes taking over. He dodged and weaved, closing the distance in a blur of motion. His plasma sword flashed, slicing through Gamelon armor like paper. Pulse rifle shots took down the rest, their bodies crumpling to the deck. Ethan fought his way through the ship, a whirlwind of lethal precision. Gamelon soldiers fell before him, unable to match his speed and skill. In the cargo bay, a platoon of elite Gamelon warriors surrounded the prototype weapon, a massive cannon-like device. Ethan burst in, his exoskeleton's built-in cannons blazing. The Gamelons returned fire, energy bolts filling the air. Ethan leaped and rolled, his armor absorbing the hits. He closed in, engaging the Gamelons in a brutal melee. Plasma sword clashed against energy glaive as Ethan dueled the Gamelon commander. They traded blows in a deadly dance, sparks flying with each strike. Ethan feinted left, then spun right, his blade slipping past the commander's guard. The plasma sword plunged into the Gamelon's chest, the smell of burnt flesh filling the air. As the commander fell, Ethan's comm crackled to life. "Commander Webb, this is UEDF Command. Reinforcements are en route. ETA, 15 minutes. Ethan grinned, wiping blood from his brow. "Understood, Command. I'll keep our friend Taurus busy until they arrive." He sprinted towards the Invictus hangar bay, determination burning in his eyes. It was time to take the fight to the Imperator. Ethan raced through the Invictus's corridors, his pulse pounding in his ears. The ship shuddered under the relentless assault of the Gamelon fleet, but he pushed forward, his mind focused on one goal, reaching the Imperator's bridge and confronting Taurus. As he neared the hangar bay, a group of Gamelon soldiers emerged from a side passage, their weapons trained on him. Ethan lunged to the side, his exoskeleton-enhanced reflexes allowing him to evade their fire. He returned fire with his pulse rifle, dropping the soldiers in quick succession. Reaching his personal fighter, Ethan leaped into the cockpit and fired up the engines. The sleek craft roared to life, its advanced stealth systems cloaking it from enemy sensors. Ethan rocketed out of the hangar, weaving through the chaos of the battle towards the looming bulk of the Imperator. Incoming fire streaked past his fighter, as Gamelon drones swarmed to intercept him. Ethan jinked and rolled, his hands flying over the controls as he evaded their attacks. His fingers danced across the weapon controls, sending bursts of plasma fire tearing through the drones, leaving shattered debris in his wake. As he closed in on the Imperator, Ethan spotted an opening in the flagship's defenses, a small hangar bay, its energy shields flickering from battle damage. Gritting his teeth, he gunned the engines and shot forward, slipping through the weakened shields just before they snapped back into place. Ethan leaped from his fighter, pulse rifle at the ready as alarms blared throughout the hangar. Gamelon soldiers poured into the space, their weapons spitting energy bolts. Ethan charged forward, his exoskeleton granting him superhuman speed and strength. He wove through the hail of fire, his rifle cracking out precise bursts that felled the Gamelons with each shot. His plasma sword flashed in his other hand, slicing through armor and flesh alike as he danced a deadly waltz through their ranks. Leaving a trail of fallen foes behind him, Ethan sprinted towards the bridge, his heart hammering in his chest. He burst onto the command deck, his rifle leveled at the towering figure at its center. "Taurus!" Ethan shouted, his voice filled with determination. "It's over. Surrender now and I'll spare your life." The Gamelon warlord turned slowly, his eyes blazing with hatred. "Spare my life," he growled, his deep voice dripping with contempt. "You think you can defeat me, human?" Taurus drew his own weapon, an immense energy glaive that crackled with power. "I will savor the taste of your blood on my blade." The two warriors clashed in a storm of steel and plasma, their weapons flashing in a deadly dance. Taurus's strength was immense, each blow from his glaive sending shock waves through Ethan's body. But Ethan's exoskeleton granted him speed and agility, allowing him to evade the worst of the Gamelon's attacks. As they fought, Ethan's eyes darted around the bridge, searching for any weakness he could exploit. Then he saw it, the pulsing, glowing core of the Imperator's power systems, located just behind the command dais. If he could damage that core, the resulting chain reaction would tear the flagship apart from within, but to do so he would need to get past Taurus's deadly blade. Ethan redoubled his efforts, his plasma sword moving in a blur as he parried and struck at the Gamelon warlord. Taurus met him blow for blow, his glaive leaving trails of ionized air in its wake. In a desperate gamble, Ethan feinted left, then dove right, rolling under Taurus's sweeping strike. He came up firing, his pulse rifle unleashing a concentrated burst of plasma directly at the power core. The core exploded in a blinding flash of light, the concussive blast throwing both warriors to the deck. Alarm screamed as the Imperator shuddered, secondary explosions ripping through its hull. Taurus stumbled to his feet, his eyes wide with shock and rage. "What have you done?" he roared, lunging at Ethan with murderous intent. But before he could reach the human, the deck bucked beneath their feet, throwing them apart. Taurus slammed his fist onto a control panel, activating an emergency teleportation field. "This isn't over, human," he snarled as the field enveloped him. "I will hunt you to the ends of the galaxy." With a flash of light, the Gamelon warlord vanished, teleporting to safety moments before the Imperator's reactors went critical. Ethan staggered to the viewport, watching in awe as the flagship exploded in a cataclysmic blast. The shockwave slammed into the surrounding Gamelon ships, shorting out their systems and sending them careening into each other. The once mighty fleet was thrown into chaos, ships colliding and exploding in a devastating chain reaction. Battered and exhausted, Ethan activated his exoskeleton's built-in thrusters, propelling himself out of the disintegrating Imperator and back towards the Invictus. As he neared his ship, he saw the welcome sight of UEDF reinforcements dropping out of warp, their weapons already firing as they engaged the remaining Gamelon vessels. Ethan landed hard in the Invictus hangar, his exoskeleton sparking and smoking from the battle. He collapsed to his knees, his body racked with pain as the hangar crew rushed to his aid. In the chaos of the aftermath, Ethan learned that the prototype weapon had been successfully delivered to the UEDF, thanks to the sacrifices of the Invictus and her crew. But even as the medics tended to his wounds, Ethan felt a hollow ache in his chest. So many lives had been lost, so much destruction wrought, and though the battle had been won, Ethan knew that the war with the Gamelon Empire was far from over. As he lay in the medbay, his body broken but his spirit undefeated, Ethan stared out at the stars, steeling himself for the fights to come. For he knew, with grim certainty, that he would be called upon again and again to defend humanity against the relentless threat of the Gamelons. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.